Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm here for a bit of a play around. I've got a couple of envelopes here, and what I thought we'd do is make a folio, you know, from scratch, but using the envelopes here. I've got one of these large H&M like paper bags, so we're going to kind of cover this with some paper bag and things. I'm thinking I might like to do a fabric cover for this folio, so the paper bag would be on the inside. And then what I'd like to do is use some of my ready-made ephemera. So that's the plan. You know, obviously, you know, it's going to be, you know, remain to be seen whether or not it pans out. But yeah, that's the plan. So I'm going to start by folding my envelopes in half. I mean, this is how I generally kind of would start a folio. So I'm going to do them like that. And straight away, I've made a mistake because I should have really had my flaps, yeah, probably facing inwards. Although, to be perfectly honest, it probably doesn't really matter. Does it matter or doesn't it matter? Actually, yeah, what I might do is have only one flap kind of opening. So yeah, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to refold it now on the inside. So like that. Oh dear, this is not a great start, is it? Okay, so there we go. I've got my envelope folded in like that. Okay, and then all I'm going to do is on this one, I'm going to glue this envelope shut. Now, this envelope, obviously, as you can see, it had a kind of, you know, peel off, you know, ready adhesive self-seal envelope. But to be honest, I never really kind of trust them. So I always just like to add a bit of glue as well. Just, you know, to be on the safe side, because you never know how strong that sort of self-seal thing's going to be. So I'm going to do it like that. Okay. And then what I'm thinking is cover this in fabric. Now, just wondering, do I want to cover it in fabric first? Trying to think how it's going to be kind of best to do this, because if I want to have the top as a pocket, well, I guess what we could do is have the top not as a pocket, and then it, you know, eliminates that as an issue, doesn't it? Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. So all I'm going to do is literally glue the entire thing down like this onto the, you know, other sort of envelope. So yeah, let's do a good lot of glue. Okay, and then we can just glue that down there. I mean, this is just kind of making this nice and simple to do. Obviously, we could have kind of had this as an opening flap at the top. That would have just made it more complicated from the point of view of adding the fabric, because I would have had to probably stitch the fabric across the top bit and then join these together. And obviously when you're doing a video, you know, it's nicer to do things slightly more straightforward, I think. So, you know, because obviously it requires a bit of concentration if you're doing anything, well, I find, if you're doing anything complicated. So, of course, doing a video and doing complicated things, oh, it's just a bit beyond me. So, yeah, I'd prefer to probably keep things just simple and straightforward and do it like this. Now, just wondering which fabric I've got, or what fabric I've got to cover this with. So let me just pull in some fabric. Hold on 2 seconds. Got some fabric sat here to the side of my desk. Oh, I'm not sure now. Not sure that that was quite the fabric I had in mind. Let me just have a quick another look. Okay, I've got some of this, I know I've tried to pronounce this before recently and I'm thinking mispronounced it. I think this is called Toile de Joie. But I did have a friend once who, she informed me it was called Toi. So yeah, I'm clearly pronouncing it completely wrong, but for me, it's just, that's what rolls off my tongue. Tolle de joie. So yeah, I'm obviously pronouncing it completely wrong, so please don't quote me as the way to pronounce it. Right, now, obviously again, this is quite fiddly to do and trying to fit this in the frame. So I'm going to open my piece out again, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this down like this. Whoops. Oops. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really matter, you know, how straight or not my edge is. I might be able to tear it. Okay, and yeah, I'm thinking kind of that's probably enough, although I have got this flap, so kind of depends really. Am I going around the flap? So let's just cut a bit more just to be on the safe side. Right, okay. So again, I mean, the flap is kind of complicating matters a little bit, and I probably would be better off doing it, you know, with no flap at all, because yeah, from just a point of view of keeping it simple, anything kind of extra is of course going to, you know, complicate matters slightly, isn't it? So, but never mind, let's just be brave. So right, bring this back in now. So obviously I want this on the back, you know, i.e. what's going to be the outside. So I'm turning it over, and it doesn't matter really whether I have my flap on the back or the front, I don't think. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to do it like this. So putting it down, this is the way up it's going to be, like that. Okay, so all I want to do is glue my fabric on, and then I will take it to the sewing machine. Now I haven't quite decided whether I want to you know, fold this in and be super neat, or whether I'm just going to cut around the edges and be a bit scrappy. I mean, I could probably fold it in at the edges, to be honest, and be a bit neater about things. So let's be neat, okay? So all I'm going to do is put my glue around the entire thing. Now I want to obviously have glue in the middle sort of sections as well, only because if you don't, you get that kind of bubble, you know, empty bubble kind of effect, you know, where you've got fabric there but with no glue, if that makes sense. So, you know, it would be stitched around in the middle, but then of course it would be kind of empty. Sorry, stitch around on the edges, but then it would be empty in the middle. Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, let's take this and we will put it onto the fabric. Now again, put it onto the envelope. Now I can turn this over where I'm going to get a better view probably, to be able to tuck it around. So again, just kind of straighten it out a bit like that. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it back over where I will just kind of smooth it out and make sure it's, you know, as wrinkle free as it can be. I mean, obviously it doesn't have to be, you know, 100%, but you know, just making it slightly neater. So again, just looking for my bone folder, which I know I did have here, and of course now I cannot find it. Oh dear, why did these, oh there we go. I knew I had it here somewhere. So we go like that, just trying to get the creases out as best I can. Okay, now it doesn't matter too much because don't forget we're going to be stitching around this. Right, now the tricky part obviously here, I've got my flap, so it's just dependent, do I want to actually go in and try and tuck this inside? That may just be completely beyond my, you know, my capabilities, I've got to be truthful. But should we have a go at that? Let's have a go. Yeah, I think this is probably going to be, you know, a step too ambitious, but let's give it a try. Okay, so we're going to put this down like that. Now, what I need to do here is, obviously this is going to fold over like that. Get my wipe here. Okay. So here, I need to just kind of snip in here like that. Okay. And I'm going to have to do that on either side. Oh my gosh, this is not particularly easy coming in from the top. There we go. Right, and then this is where I think I'm not going to really manage to do this, but never mind. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. So I need to now cut my fabric kind of around here. Oh my goodness, this is easier said than done. So I'm going to just cut it around the flap. Oops, like that. And then just cutting it here, because I'm hoping I'm going to be able to tuck that in now. I might have mucked this up completely, in which case, you know, no worries. I won't have the flap. It's not the end of the world. You know, there's none of these things are set in stone. If you muck it up, you know, you just alter it and go for something slightly different. So, you know, it's not kind of the be all and end all. And I mean, like I say, I mean, can you see? I've mucked that up completely. I've never actually tried to tuck in to a flap before, you know, with fabric. So, yeah, this is beginner's... well, beginner's mishap by the looks of things. Okay, so I'm just going to see how this would look if I fill this in here. Oops, like that. And then if I had that tucked over there. Do you see? I mean, to be honest, hopefully the camera's kind of picking that up. I can fill that in, and, you know, to me, that doesn't really look too bad, to be perfectly honest. So I'm just going to do that. And, yeah. I mean, no one's really going to be kind of examining this. Once it's all put together, you know, there'll be so much else going on the folio. You're not really going to be kind of paying much attention to, oh, you know, she's missed a bit there, or, you know, there's not glue on that bit. No one's really going to be noticing that. So, yeah, I think it's quite forgiving. You can get away with quite a bit. Let's hope that we can anyway. Oh, dear. I mean, you know, I've seen other people do things like this, and they're absolutely fantastic and amazing because, of course, they measure, and they're much more precise than me. I mean, I'm not precise, and, you know, precision is not my thing. So, you know, for me, this is going to be as good as it gets. But hopefully this is going to encourage any of you who are similar to me, you know, and just can't get on with the whole kind of measuring and being really kind of neat and, you know, precise and things. Hopefully this will just encourage you to kind of see that actually, you know, you really don't need to worry. It really can be kind of wing and a prayer type stuff, and you can get away with it. I mean, there we go. Glued that down now. Personally, I mean, I think that looks fine. Like I say, I mean, realise that not everybody would think that was fine. But once this folio is kind of in use, you know, i.e. filled up with other bits and pieces, you're just not going to notice that at all. It's going to be completely and utterly hidden in with all what else is going on the folio. So, you know, don't get too kind of stressed and worried about it. So the next thing that I want to do is obviously fold all my edges in. So again, this is where I could have another mishap. So I could go round here like that. If I want to be really kind of neat, that's what I probably should do. Yeah, so perhaps I'll try and be a bit more professional there. And then what I'm going to do for my edge pieces, now again, I see different people do different things, and you know, in the past I've done kind of different things myself. You can either kind of try and tuck it like this, folded. Now that's fine, but sometimes it does get too bulky. You can cut it in, so you just have kind of like one piece tucked under. So let's try that. Oops, like this. And then you'd have that piece kind of over there. And then, you know, you could snip this piece off. Or you could cut it across. So, you know, I think you've got kind of choices there that you can do. I mean, I could even do that. So you've got quite a few different options of how you can do this, to be honest. Yeah, actually, I think I'm going to go like this. And then what I'll do is just take that across there. And straight away, you know, we've lost a lot of that bulk there. And then that looks quite a neat kind of edge there. So again, just go in the other side. Oh, I should really turn this round because trying to cut from the other side is probably not the best way of doing this. Okay, so, and don't forget, this is going to be stitched around. So, you know, you really don't need to get too kind of bogged down in how this is going. So again, just going to kind of fold this in. So folding it in here like that. Okie dokie. And then your folded piece. Oh, how did I say that I was doing that? Right. So your folded piece for your corner, I mean, to be honest, you could probably just cut it off now. Yeah, you probably could just cut it off. I'm trying to think how I've done this last time that I did a fabric cover for a folio. Sorry, it's not really in frame. Oh, it's hard to remember, isn't it, when you don't do these things that often. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I might just cut that off. And to be honest, you know, again, all these things that we kind of worry about, once the folio is put together, you know, this is going to not be noticeable at all because the folio is going to, you know, hopefully look so good and have so many other things going on that, you know, this is going to not be drawing the eye at all, you know. So again, don't be kind of getting too worried and bogged down about these kind of little details. It's not, you know, not an issue. So again, just going right along the whole side. Probably should kind of focus on those, you know, folds here. And then I'm just bringing it up like that. Okay, now I probably should use my wipe here. And then just bring all of my folds up. Oops. Like that. And then along here. Like that. Like that, okay. And then this piece, do you remember on the other side I said about, you know, trying to now tuck this piece into here. So again, I'm just going to take a little bit of glue, pop it down here, like that, and then just fold that in. And that's just, you know, securing that like that. Okay, so I mean, to be honest, that looks pretty neat, I think, anyway. You know, I don't think it doesn't look neat, but don't forget we are going to stitch around this. So, you know, that's going to neaten it up even further. So again, what I'll do actually is do the same this side. So snip this off here. Okay, and then we're going to bring this up here. Just neaten that bit up. Again, you know, nobody is going to see this side. So if you're thinking, oh gosh, you know, that's not very neat cutting, you know, for the fabric and things like that, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to see this, you know, this raw edge because it's all going to be covered up. So that's just going to take my glue direct to the fabric this time, actually, so as I know roughly kind of how far in I need to go. Lots of glue around those folds like that. Okay, okie dokie. Right, looking good. Okay, so we're going to bring the fabric up like that, like that. Okie doke. And then again up on this end, again, hopefully this is visible on the camera, just tuck that in trying to keep it kind of neat and, you know, folding it over. So just take my wipe so my fingers aren't quite so gluey in this. And then just again, squish this down. I know I've said the word again probably about 50 times a minute on this video. I don't know why, but it just seems I'm doing a lot of repetitive things. Or I'm saying a lot of repetitive things. Maybe I'm not doing a lot of repetitive things. I'm not sure. Right. So that's the basis of my fabric cover. So we've got obviously folding over here and, you know, folding over here. So I want to stitch the whole thing now around on the sewing machine. Now I might just wait for this to dry for, you know, 20 minutes or so, because it's obviously very saturated where it's, you know, very wet glue. And then I will go and stitch it on the sewing machine. So I will see you in a second. So I'm here at my sewing machine and, you know, I've left this for about 40 minutes. I have to say it's still quite wet because obviously I did attach a lot of glue. But I just want to kind of show you. So I'm just going to literally stitch around the entire edges. You know, yeah, the entire edges. And then I'll probably go around the flaps separately. So I'm going to just go around so that the stitching is on the cover. Now I'm going to extend my stitch to like 3.5. My general kind of like default stitch is 2.5. So I've just kind of widened it. And then I'm just going to go around the whole thing so that my fabric's properly, you know, stuck down and adhered to the cover of the folio. So, okay, and then go round. I mean, like I say, it is still quite soggy, but, you know, that's fine. It doesn't seem to be causing any sort of problem, so that's all good. Okay. Going round. Whoops. Now, like I say, I haven't ever done like the flap, kind of uncovered the fabric with the flap, so that's going to be a bit of a sort of trial and error situation. We'll just have to see, you know, how best to do that. So let's just take that out, cut that there. Okay, so that's fine. So then my flap, I'm going to just go round. So if I just fold this in so I've got less bulk, I'm going to just stitch around like the shape basically of the flap. So again, you know, really not worrying. It doesn't need to be too neat and tidy. Just, you know, I'm just really making sure that the fabric is kind of not going to come up at all. So just straight around the flap like that. Okay. Right, okay, looking good. So we will go back to the desk. And then, yeah, what I would like to do, I think, is cover the entire of the inside, firstly with a coat of the H&M paper bag. So let's go back there and do that. Okay, so I'm back at my desk and I've got my H&M bag. Now, I'm going to just tear it down so it's smaller to actually fit in the camera in the first place, because at the moment it's obviously it's ginormous. Right, let's get it to a size where it fits on the screen. Okay, right. Obviously, I do not want this side. I don't really want the H&M kind of logo showing or anything. You know, don't find that very vintage. So I'm going to just see if I can peel this off. Yep, that's coming off nice and easily. Now, I'm not worried at all about how this looks because, you know, we're going to be putting all ephemera and things like that in here. We're going to probably put lace on. You know, it's going to just be covered up predominantly. So I just want to get basically, you know, my first kind of covering down, the initial kind of covering. So I'm just going to take this up like that. And again, you know, I don't mind having this kind of hem type bit showing. I don't think that's the right term really for this, but, you know, like an edge. I don't mind having the edge showing. So, you know, that's probably going to make it easier to work with. Oops, than trying to go right to the edges. Oh, not making a good job of tearing this down. So let's try from this side. Oh my gosh, no, I'm not making a good job of this at all. Oh my goodness, this is going to be like the worst looking folio ever, but never mind. We're going to try and rein it in and, you know, turn it into something beautiful after all. Okay. Yeah, so I quite like how that looks. Now I'm just going to trim off obviously here where I've, you know, really mucked it up. And then just here as well. Now the bits where I've torn in, of course, I'm not going to worry about those. That's fine. I'm just wondering actually if I could start on this end, because as it happens, you know, it's gone kind of a similar shape to the, you know, that envelope tuck. For some reason, I'm still wanting to call it an envelope flap. It's not the flap, it's the envelope tuck. So yeah, but for some reason it kind of had naturally gone sort of a similar shape, so might as well just work with it, go with it. So right, lots and lots of glue. You know, again, just because, you know, you want this to be really nicely stuck down, you don't want to have kind of big baggy, like bubbly type bits, you know, empty bits with no glue. You want to have it pretty well stuck down, don't you? So, you know, more is definitely, I think, the way to go. But, you know, I am aware that obviously lots of people think I'm using way too much glue. And, you know, that's fine. I'm sure you're probably right. But, yeah, I just kind of like to know that things are really going to be adhered down really well and not be kind of peeling off. So I'd rather have more than not enough. Okay, so spreading my glue out with my glue spreader, which is, of course, my, you know, my Costa card. Not my Costa card that I use, obviously. Yeah, I think they'd struggle to scan this in at all. It's very glue covered now. Right. Okay, so I've got to be honest. I mean, I've made a bit of a mess of this. It's gone slightly lower than I would have hoped, and yeah, slightly bigger gap at the top. But, you know, again, never mind. It doesn't really matter. Oops. Now I've smudged glue, so yes, this is not a great start, but right, let's see whether I've just got enough here to just kind of fill in this little section here. So I have, I think. So just going to take that down across here. Okay. Like that. Okie dokie, right. Now obviously I've got even like the line of glue here from like the H&M bags, you know, where it was kind of like put together, held together. Again, you know, that doesn't really worry me. I'm not going to get myself too kind of caught up with things like that. We're just going to go for it, glue it all down, and then, you know, we'll come along and we'll hopefully disguise it later. Oh dear, famous last words. Yeah, let's hope that we disguise it later. Otherwise, this is just going to look a shocking mess. But hopefully, we're going to disguise it later. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. Looking good. I'm liking how that looks. It's looking really nice. Okay. Keep hearing birds on my roof today for some reason. They sound like they've got massive, great big work boots on. They're really noisy. I mean, I'm assuming they're only tiny birds, but my gosh, they're loud. Very, very loud. Right, okay, so that's my first stab at obviously covering that. So let's just pop some more glue down the edge. Okay, now let me now take this for the fold. So I need to just burnish this in really nicely so as we've got, you know, a good fold rather than a sort of crinkly one, if that makes sense. So, oops, sorry about this, got something laying around from another project. Okay. Yep, and then the same here. Again, burnishing it in where that fold is. So in there like that, and again just along there. you know, anywhere where you kind of feel, oh, it just needs a, you know, little bit of extra help, you can just touch in with some extra glue then, can't you? Okay, looking good. Right, looking good. So this is the base of our folio. This is our flap, obviously. So again, just kind of squish that down so as it keeps its original, you know, shape where the flap is meant to flap. And we were having the flap in, weren't we, I think? And this one over the, yeah, over the outside. So that's our basic folio. I mean, I love it already, to be honest. And, you know, we've not even done anything on it yet. But already it's kind of looking really, really, really lovely. So now what we want to do is obviously add some little bits and pieces. We want some little fold out kind of extra pages and things. So as we've got bits to actually stick things on. Now, I want to use ready-made, you know, some of my ready-made ephemera pieces on this. So obviously, you know, we just want to get some, sorry, just touching in another little bit of the paper there. So we just want to get some other bits down, like pages, basically, so that we've got extra bits to stick our bits of ephemera on. So I'm going to take this. Now this is, you know, you get like the, what do you call them? What do you call them? You know, card making, card blanks. It's just those. Now, I've just got to go in with another bit of glue. For some reason, I keep coming across little bits that aren't quite glued down. Right. So these are those card blanks. And I'm thinking just make, you know, a bunch of kind of pages, basically, from the card blanks. Because then I can hang some ready-made embellishments and things onto those. So I think they're going to work really nicely. Now, this one, I think what I'll do is before I put it in, I'm just going to ink it up with the walnut stain. Because on these card blanks, you normally seem to get, you know, one good side and one not so good side. This is the not so good side. The good side, I don't think really needs inking up. So I'm just going to ink up this not such good side. So it's, you know, a bit more seamless and blendy with the rest of the folio. So yeah, let's have that. And then I'm going to do similar. So I'm going to just make, you know, a bunch of these basically. So I've got obviously the rest of that particular one that I've just used. So I can make another flip now that we can use as maybe like a flip down instead. So I'm just folding it over like at the bottom edge, or, you know, maybe it will be the top edge. Like that. Okay, and then, you know, we can then attach these bits all in different places. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same by just kind of going around the edges with the walnut stain. Like that. You know, I'm just trying to disguise it so it's not looking like a tatty, you know, tatty colour, tatty kind of finish. Obviously, we're going to put some of our ready-made ephemera on most of these. So, you know, by the time we've done that, it's not really going to kind of matter anyway. But, you know, just to kind of get us started, we're just doing these types of things. So, again, just going to take this here. Oops, just get that piece off my desk. And we're just going to, again, fold it down and just cut it off here. Like that. Oh, I've not made a very good job of that one. And then we could have this kind of maybe like on the facing side. So again, just going to ink around, you know, I'm just, yeah, literally putting pages into here. So building up, you know, some other flaps and tucks and things like that. Now, often I use envelopes, you know, for putting the extra flaps and tucks. But for this one, I just thought it would be nice to use the, you know, this 5x7 type stuff. You know, I have no idea why, but for some reason this just kind of was shouting to me that it would be, you know, that it would work well for this. So, yeah, I thought, let's go for that. Now, we could even have another one. So, again, just kind of squishing this down. like that, and just going to trim it down here because I obviously made a horrible job of cutting it away from the original card. Oh, I think it's going to rain in a minute. It's got that kind of rainy thing going on. Well, it's just come over very grey anyway. Oh, do you know, I think I've cut the wrong edge. Oh, I don't know now. Right, I think I'm just making a very poor job of cutting today. Okay, right. So I'm thinking we could kind of have like a couple of extra flaps going on here. So let's again ink the, you know, the rubbish kind of side. Right, let's get gluing some of these pieces on. So we're going to glue this one here to here, basically, like that, and just squish that down there. Okay, and again, I'm just going to kind of really make sure that's, you know, pressed down nicely, so as we've got a really nice, you know, neat creased edge, and then just wipe out any excess glue from there. Okay, yep, that looks good. So this one I'm going to have kind of nearer the top, and then this one I might have kind of a bit lower down, so they're slightly staggered. Then we're going to have this one here, and then let's have a look, what else have we got? So now I'm thinking, let's cut this in half. Again, you know, it doesn't have to be completely in half, but just somewhere in that vicinity. Cut that down there. And ink up around the edge here. Okie dokie. Oops. Oh, I wonder if we could have these side by side, or is that going to be like too much? We could, couldn't we? Never done that before in a folio, but hey, you know, just because you haven't ever done something before, it doesn't mean you shouldn't, does it? You know, maybe it means it's time you did. It's just really, really fun and nice to do different things, isn't it? So, you know, and to be honest, I've said this so many times, but honestly, I mean, none of my folios have ever kind of been done the same, because I think when you kind of do them, you know, they just evolve in this weird and wild way. And, you know, before you know it, you've got something completely different to what you even expected in the first place. And yeah, this is very much kind of obviously, you know, evidence of that. Right, so let's glue this down here. So I'm going to glue this down here. Now this is going kind of like, you know, to the bottom as much as possible and to the edge. I hope that I'm in frame and you can kind of see that like that. Okay, and then we're just going to squish that down. Right, this one, obviously beside it, again, need to just keep an eye on where my fold is. Now, the good thing is, because this has been, you know, fabric covered, I don't have to worry about this, you know, reinforcing the spine or anything like that. I'm actually thinking now I might prefer this as like that, to be honest. I think that might be kind of more fun. What do we think? Yeah, I think it looked better at the top. Yeah, what we don't need to worry about now is reinforcing the spine, because of course we've covered it with fabric. So, you know, often I would use maybe fabric or lace or something to reinforce the spine on a folio. But obviously the fact this has been fabric covered, that's done that job already. So that's great, because obviously we don't have to now worry. You know, our spine is kind of reinforced already. So that, you know, is a real positive for doing a fabric cover. Okay. So that's that one. Yeah, okay, liking how they look. Just want to kind of really make sure they're nicely glued down, you know, really nice and strong and stuck there. Okay. Right, then we're going to have this one here. Now, actually, I'm thinking we could have it. Just check that that's still going to fold if I have it this way. Or I think I'm going to have it this way, to be honest. Yeah, I think let's have it this way. Right, okay. Now I'm just using my wet glue for all of these, but of course, you know, you could use, you know, your Fabri-Tac, you could use hot glue, any glue that, you know, you fancy, that you get on with best. You know, but yeah, I think the wet glue is going to be good for this, you know, gluing in of these bits. I mean, the only thing is, obviously, the hot glue would have been much more instant, and I wouldn't have had to then keep pressing and pressing, you know, it would have been glued down. But yeah, I think the wet glue is quite nice to use for this. Okay. Because like I say, I mean, all I'm actually trying to do is get a bunch of, you know, technically they're like pages, aren't they? You know, I mean, they're kind of fold outs, but they're working a bit like pages that I'm going to basically put my, you know, my folds and flaps and, you know, what have you, that I want to put them on. So that's all we're, you know, all we're really doing. Oops, been marking my fabric now with my Distress ink. Must put the lid on things so that does not happen. Right, so this one I'm going to just have down on this side. So again, just take that flap down there and stick that down. Again, quite close to the spine. So I'm just kind of folding it up so as I can remember, you know, or see clearly where the spine actually is. So again, squishing that down, you know, making sure that's really nicely stuck in. I'm moving that around a lot, so that's not very good, is it? Okay, and let's just fold that open. Okay, wipe my excess glue out. Okie dokie. Okay. Right, liking how that's looking. Looks good so far. Right, so I mean, you're probably just thinking, oh gosh, this looks very brown and very drab. But I mean, once we kind of get decorating this, you know, it's hopefully not going to look that. I mean, it might, you know, because we might decide to just stick with the kind of brown neutral theme. But hopefully it's going to take on a, you know, a world of its own or a life of its own. And just come together, you know, it will just evolve in its own way, depending on obviously what bits we decide to put in, you know, from the ready-made ephemera that we're going to be using. So, right. Yeah. Do we want to have, oh, I could even have that there. We might be getting too flappy here. Too flappy? Yeah, maybe too flappy. That's quite cool though. Quite like that. And actually we could even have that smaller, couldn't we? Or we could have it there. Oh, that's quite cool. Yeah, that's quite cool on there. So again, just kind of take that down. Put that down. Ooh, we were having it this way around, weren't we? Honestly, it's hard to remember that when you've got lots of different flaps and things, you're like, oh, I'm not sure now. Right, let's again glue that down. Okay, and you know, it's always worth opening it and just checking that your glue's not then sticking it together like that. Okay, Right. Okie dokie, looking good so far. So, yep, and like that. Okay, so the only side that I haven't put anything on is this side. Now, I could put some more flaps on here. I'm not sure. So sorry that I keep jogging the table. It's, yeah, I'm struggling to get comfy today because I've been doing a few videos. So I'm just kind of, yeah, getting a bit fidgety. I don't know whether to put some more flaps down here or whether I'm going to have actually, for instance, a full length envelope or something like that on this side. Although then I feel like that's not got enough flaps. Yeah, it feels a little bit like it's not got enough flaps going on now. So let's just try this. Okay, it's not going to work that way because of course it's then in the way. Could have it like that, where it would just have one flap and then it's got the envelope. Actually, I'm just now wondering, sorry, I know I'm like flaps mad here, but let's just see whether if I do this, I don't know whether this is going to work, but I'm just wondering whether I could have like that for this final page. Oh, I like that. Yep. Okay, right. So that's all I'm going to do is on this final page. This is just a normal brown envelope. I'm just going to seal it shut so that this forms a base, you know, of a pocket. And of course, you know, don't forget we're going to be using our ready-made ephemera pieces. So, you know, the chances are I'm going to have something ready-made going over the top of this envelope. Okay, and then we're going to just ink up this, just like we have with the others. So just on that sort of, you know, scrappier side. Okay. So, I mean, we've built up a lot of flaps and tucks and things, you know, so far. You know, it's looking really good. It's got a lot of interest going on already. And, you know, that's before we've used any of our ready-made ephemera. So, I mean, once we get sticking some things in that we've already made, you know, hopefully this is going to be really, you know, very full of kind of interesting details and, you know, lovely things. So let's just take that, whoops, take that across like that. Okay. Right, let's mop up the excess glue, glue that down like that. Okay, right, let's now check that that's still opening. Okay, and then that will go like that. Again, I'm now not sure whether to have this up so it's a flip up or a flip down. I'm going to have this here, so I think I prefer it in, yeah, I think probably like that. So again, just quickly ink this inside of this flappy piece. Okay. Right, and then we're just going to glue this down in here. Like that. So again, just squish that down. Get rid of that excess glue. Okay, like that, and there, like that. Okay, looking good. And then just get the glue from here on your crease Right, and then we are ready to glue this one in as like a pocket. So we're just going to take this down here. Like that. Okay, and then we're just going to glue that down, you know, again, close to that middle fold, or, you know, don't know whether it's the middle fold, but, you know, the fold, close to the fold, like that, but not compromising the fold, just close to it. Okay, looking good. Right, very excited by this. It's really, I've never done a folio like this before, where I've kind of used just those 5x7 cards. I know I have now used one envelope, but, you know, yeah, this is a very different way of doing one for me. But hey, you know, it's really fun to try out different techniques, isn't it? And different kind of ways of doing things and see how you like them. So, yeah, I hope that you like what we've done so far. And then I will come back. We will obviously be decorating up generally to kind of disguise the fact that this is paper bags. And we will obviously pick some bits and pieces from our ready-made ephemera pieces that we are then going to use to decorate this journal up, folio up with. So yeah, I hope that you're going to join me for part 2 of kind of making this fabric loads of flaps folio. So thank you so much and see you guys soon. Thanks then. Bye.